welcome back to our good friend Gabriel. Our shiur today is lechatzlachat everyone over here, especially our dear friend Gabriel Chai. May he find his bat zug מהרבה קרוב בזכות כל החסד שאתה עושה.
אמן.
חוסר רפואת שלמה דניאל בן רוזה שושנה, השם ישאר לרפואה שלך במהרה בקרוב.
אמן.
וגם it should be להצלחת כל הרווקים, all the single people out there, may they find their soulmates, may they find their true half. We were just talking about it, right? About the shidduchim just right now, before the lecture started. I want to tell you guys something even crazier. I was talking to a guy yesterday, a pharmacist. He's 26, 27, and he's dating. He's not so successful dating too. He's not so tall. He's a bit of a weird laugh, very strict to the point kind of guy. Not such a he's not so cool. And he was telling me, he finally went out with a girl. He finally met the parents, this and that. Suddenly he called me. What happened? I want to break up with her. Why? It's been bothering me lately. For the past couple of dates, I've been smelling something weird when she comes to the car. And I came to the possibility that 7 things could be. It could either be her sweat, it could be her hairspray, it could be her foundation, it could be her this, it could be her that. I told him after that, I said, listen, if you're going to keep on talking like this, you're never going to get married. You know that, right? R.Shalom, one of the great tzaddikim in Yerushalayim, the student of Rabbi Abtai, used to say, when a guy goes out with a girl, he should never tell her no. He should always wait till she tells him no. Maybe she's the one. You understand? Maybe she's the one. Don't lose out on your chance. So that's why it's a very big thing, especially us over here at Lashem. We're praying over here, especially for the single people, and we have a trip soon. We wanted to plan a trip to Rochester, to a grave, very big tzaddik over there, that they say anybody who prays in that grave, it's guaranteed almost to get engaged within the year. Engaged. I myself tried it out. And I could tell you from my personal experience that within 4 months I was engaged from going to that, because I tried everything. And I don't know if it was that worked or everything collectively that worked, but I can tell you for a fact that this was for me a very big thing. So I hope that everybody who's listening to Shiur who's single, people who are here who are single, may Hashem help you find your true path.
Amen.
And that may Hashem help you get married very soon and be making bite now, because there might not be a lot of time. Israel just bombed Gaza again. Yesterday or this morning they bombed Gaza. And things are escalating in a very big way. It's escalating. We're getting very close to the end, Rabotai. We'll say not for the Gazans though, for the Jews. There shouldn't be any deaths. Okay, let's go back to reality over here. Our first shiur back from Matan Torah. Matan Torah, we learn Torah. We say we've got to take upon ourselves something special. We got to learn extra. We want to take upon ourselves to finish an extra book maybe this coming year. And the Ariya Kadosh is whoever learned Torah the whole night. Muftach lo, it's promised to him, he won't die that year, he won't have any bad experiences, he won't have any damage to his body, lo yira lo shum nezek. So we're coming out of the Matan Torah, and what do we take with us? Another shiur Torah. Now I want to know one thing. Here's the big question. How am I going to be successful in learning Torah? This is a very big question. How do I become successful in learning Torah? Because let's face it, the Gemara says Masechet Shabbat, 1,000 students come to yeshiva. By the time they get to Mishnah, there's 100 left. By the time they get to Gemara, there's 10 left. By the time they get to a person to take the test, to be a posek, there's only 1 left out of everybody. So out of 1,000 students, only 1 comes out to be a Moreh or Rabbi Israel. You understand? That's why it's a very big deal. And the Orah of Rosh Hashanah to pray that our kids should be Talmidei Chachamim. It's one of the main prayers over there. It should be Talmidei Chachamim. Because it's not just enough to be a nice guy. Right? Midot. What am I going to do with my midot tovot? The midot tovot is just a vessel. The good characteristics, it's a vessel. But you have to put something in that vessel. You got to put Torah in there. But we're not successful in our Torah. Why are we not successful? Why do we forget what we learned? Why do we not have the energy to learn? How come we can't stick to one program? Today in our day, the Goyim say this is the fast food generation, the instant generation, it's the instant coffee generation. Everything has to be instant. Instant messaging, instant internet, instant videos. Everything has to be new all the time. Everything has to be always mechudash. Every lecture has to be different. People don't want to wait. People don't want to do it. People just want to listen. People want to just, everything should be fast. I don't like this guy, I always have this guy. I don't like this guy, I always like this guy. Everything has to be something, it has to be a new click, Everything has to be a new thing every single time. There's no catalyst anymore. It's like lahavdil, it's a person who's smoking cigarettes. Why is cigarettes such an addicting thing? The nicotine, it's a drug. It gives you a high real quick, then it dies real fast. So then you want another one. You understand? It's the same thing. This is what our Torah learning became. It's like smoking cigarettes. Every single time we want a new lecture. We want something new. I don't like Gemara today. Today I'm going to learn this. Tomorrow I'm going to learn that. Tomorrow I'm going to learn halakha. The next day I'm going to learn this halakha. And therefore our Torah has become what? Psakim. You know what psakim? Pieces. It's like pieces of a puzzle, and we didn't figure out the whole picture. That's the opposite of being successful in Torah. And today, in our generation, 21st generation, the 21st century, we have a new problem. People come up, they think learning Torah is like going to college. What does that mean? You learn Torah, you have to learn how to learn. You have to, I never heard this kind of knocked into my life. You have to learn how to learn. What does that mean, learn how to learn? What, I'm going to go to college to take a course of how to learn Torah? How are you going to learn Torah like that? It's not a course in college. What does that mean? In college, you have mathematics, calculus, all this kind of A and P, all these kind of classes. If I don't have the foundation for it, if I didn't take biology when I was in high school, how am I going to understand anatomy and physiology? I won't be able to understand, right? Torah is not like that. Torah is a living book. The Torah is a living thing. The Zohar says the Torah, the Jews, and God is one thing. It's all one thing. There are three knots. The Jews are knotted together with the Torah, and the Torah is knotted together with Hashem. How many knots are there? It's two. How come the Zohar says it's three? So the Baal Shem Tov used to say, but the Torah itself is Torah shebichtav and Torah sheba'al peh. So altogether there are three knots. You understand? So we're all really one collective piece. The Torah is alive. And I say this to my students all the time. It inspires them. When I tell them this in class, I'm like, guys, when you're opening up a Gemara, you're opening up a live book. In Harry Potter, when the kids would go to be picked in the thing, the book would start speaking to them. That's shtuyot. This is real. Every book of the Torah is alive. What does that mean? The Torah has the ability to bring you in or spit you out. How do we know that? From Eretz Yisrael. The Torah says in Parashat Kedoshim, in Acharei Mot, if the land will not like you, it's going to spit you out. What does that mean, the land is going to spit you out? That means the land is alive. Every year, all the years that the Jewish people didn't live in Eretz Yisrael, the land was what? It was barren. It didn't feel like giving its fruit. The second the Jews came back to Eretz Yisrael in big waves, the land started giving fruit again. It's unbelievable, because the land is alive. The Torah is alive. What does that mean? If I open up a Gemara or I open up a Mishnah and I feel like I'm not interested, it's not because you're not interested. The Jew is always interested. The Alter Rebbe, the first Rebbe of Chabad, the Admor HaZaken, the Baal HaTanya says, no Jew in the world will ever convert under coercion to another religion. Why is that? He said every Jew has inside of him this chelek eloka mimah, this godly peace, this peace of Hashem. It's called the neshama. This neshama can never be tainted. Has a direct connection with God. So no matter what Jew in any part of the world, he'll never want to convert. That's why we see Jews in the worst possible places in the world, in the worst possible situations. Chmielnicky's pogroms. Soon is going to be the 20th of Sivan. That's when the Ashkenazim fast, some Ashkenazim fast, Polish Ashkenazim fast, on the 20th of Sivan. That was the great pogroms of Poland. And what happened over there? Jews would just not convert. Am haaretz, the worst kinds of Jews. Chilul Shabbat, eating pig. The worst kind, they would eat on Yom Kippur, they wouldn't convert to any religion. Because at the end of the day, a Jew is a Jew. So when you open up the Torah, and I told you that Torah and the Jewish people and Hashem have one connection, there's no way that that you're not going to be interested in the Torah. It's absolutely no way. You're always interested in Torah. Your neshama wants it. So how come it's more interesting to turn on the internet and look at the news? How come I feel more interested when I open the book and when I finally tell myself at home, because that's where the real trouble begins, at home. When I finally tell myself I'm going to open up that Gemara, I'm going to finally blow off the dust from the Gemara and I'm going to finally start learning it. I feel like I'm falling asleep for 2 minutes. Not because you're not interested, you are interested. The book is not interested in you. The book itself, it's spitting you out. You're not ready yet. It wants you to be ready first.
Oh.
You gotta do teshuvah. You gotta do teshuvah.
For that not learning?
For not learning. Exactly. That's the point. That's the point. You have to do teshuvah before you learn Torah. Did you guys ever wonder, in Shacharit, did you ever wonder? We pray, we say Baruch She'amar, Ashrei, Korbanot we say first, B'chut HaShachar we say first, we say Baruch She'amar, Ashrei, Yishtabach, Yotzer Or, Ahavat Olam, Shema Yisrael, Shmona Yisrael. After Shmona Yisrael, what do we say? Most people skip it, I don't know why. Vidui. We say Ana Hashem, Chatanu, Avinu, Pashanu. Then we do V'yavor, Nefilat Apayim, Ashrei, Uva Letzion. You ever wonder how come we say Ana after Shmona Yisrael? We should say it in the beginning, right? We should do it all the way in the beginning. Why? Before I come to pray to Hashem, I'm going to say sorry for all my sins. After, then I start to pray. It's a good question?
Makes sense.
Makes sense, right? And in fact, I'll give you a proof why we should do that. What's the proof? The Ari HaKadosh says, you know why many people are not successful in their learning? Because like I just explained to you, the book spits them out. It doesn't want you to learn. Because you're coming tainted. And what happens is, you didn't do teshuvah. So he says, how do you make yourself susceptible to learning Torah? Before you learn Torah, do vidui. Mamash, do vidui. Before you learn Torah, say, Ana Hashem, Chatat, Evidi Pashati, and specifically mention Bitalti Torah. Ashamnu Bagadnu, then add Bitalnu Toratecha. Because once you're going to do that, you're going to open your neshama for learning Torah. You're going to have a cheshek to learn Torah, he says. So that means we have to do vidui before we start, right? How come in tefillah I do it afterwards? After Shemona Yisrael?
Well, we do have thing in Shmona Yisrael.
Yeah. We also have vidui in Shemona Yisrael too, right? He makes a good point. Did you guys know that David HaMelech says, the Zohar quotes of David HaMelech, he says if you guys do vidui in Shema Koleinu, you're called a chassid. A person who does vidui in Shema and says Shema Koleinu, Shema Koleinu, Shema Koleinu, Ar-Rahman, Chutz Rachamim, Kabel Rachamim, V'Sod Ki El Shomeh, Tefilot, V'Tachanunim. Then we all say our wishes, right? Before you say our wishes, mention, like in one sense, Modim Machnu Lefanecha Hashem, Shechatanu Avinu Pashanu Lefanecha. It's always good to say that, all the time, in all three prayers. The Zohar says, whoever says that, his prayer is heard. Say vidui, that's why if you pay attention, Ashkenazim are very big in it. You always see them in the middle of Shemona Yisrael going like this. You ever realize that? We don't do that like this in the middle of Shemona Yisrael. We just say that one sentence. But still not in the beginning. Am I right or wrong? So let me give you the answer. I'm going to give you the answer. Tefillah is different than Torah. When you learn Torah, you have to know one thing. When you learn Torah, because your neshama always wants to learn Torah. How do I know the neshama always wants to learn Torah? I'll give you a proof. The Torah says, Vishinantam levanecha, you should teach your children. Before you teach your children, first you have to learn yourself. In the book of Joshua it says, Vehegeta bo yamam valayla, lo yamush sefer haTorah ze mipicha. Right? You always have to learn. Will Hashem give you a mitzvah that you can't keep? If Hashem tells you that you have to learn Torah in all your free time, it means what? That you're naturally capable of doing it. Because God won't give you God won't tell a fish to climb a tree. You know the famous adage of Albert Einstein? If you tell a fish to climb a tree, it'll spend its whole life thinking it's dumb. God is not society, right? God gives you an ability and tells you to do it, to fulfill your potential. If God tells you could learn Torah every single second of your life, that means you could do it. That means you could do it. The fact that we don't do it only means one thing. Because we have the sin of Bitul Torah before, the Sefer Torah itself wants to spit us out. So that's where, before we learn Torah, what do? Vidui. My father always used to tell me, when he was a young man, he was becoming religious. He was coming in at the age of, 18, 19, 20, right after he got married. He went to come closer to Hashem. He always had a specific push to Hashem. And he always used to say, he was always interested in learning Gemara. Why? For a Baal Tshuva, learning Gemara is like, because how you become a Baal Tshuva? You go to yeshivot, you see all these guys learning Torah and roaring inside the Gemara. You're like, I want to be one of them. Then after 20 minutes of learning Gemara, you want to run away. So when a Baal Tshuva looks at the Gemara, it's like if you learn Gemara, you're somebody. It's nonsense. That's how they think. So how come when a person learns Gemara, he feels like he doesn't understand anything? It's like you're out, right? What's the first question about Chuvas asks when he learns Gemara? Why is it still in Aramaic? Am I right or wrong? It's time to update a bit, right? Change it to the language that we speak, right? Why was it in Aramaic? Because that's the language they were speaking of. So change it to our language. So Hashem gave an answer to every generation. Back in the day, they never used to ask that question. Today, they ask that question. So God gave an answer. What's it called? An art scroll. So now you have no way of running out of it. You have an art scroll. Now what happens when you open up the art scroll and even then you're uninspired? And for sure it's your fault. The language barrier I could understand. What happened? A person who really wants to learn Torah, you want to learn Gemara, you want to do it, don't use the art scroll. How am I supposed to learn? I don't understand the language. If you truly believe what I just told you, that the book is alive, the book will teach you itself the language. Did you just hear what I told you? You don't believe me. I could see you're like, okay, I got the part, the book is alive, but come on, it's not going to teach me a new language. You're wrong. And I'll prove it to you. But you got to try it. You got to try it. If you ask my father. When he started to learn Gemara, there was no art scroll back then. You know what kind of Gemara there were? It wasn't even a nice text. You know what kind of Gemaras there was? Those old Vilna Shas with the letters that are, microscopic. He said he used to open up the Gemara and he just used to read. That's even worse. Why is that worse? When I learned Chumash, Torah Shebichtav, if I just learned Chumash just like that, I get a mitzvah for every word I say. If I just open up a Gemara and I just read without understanding, I don't get a mitzvah of learning Torah. Why? Why am I getting a mitzvah? Because it's Torah Sheba'al Peh. It's Torah that was meant to be understood. Torah Shebichtav can never be understood because it's God's own words. You understand? But Torah must be understood. So imagine you're just sitting there and you're reading. You're reading. You're not getting any mitzvah. To continue, what do you need? A lot of willpower. And guess what? Eventually what? He started to understand what he was reading. He started to understand the language. It's unbelievable. And I can prove it myself with my own experience. When me and my wife were trying to get pregnant, I remember it was the Omer time. It was almost 2 years into our marriage. And it was the second day of the second week of the Omer. It was Gvura, Shabbat Gvura. Judgment of judgment, the day of judgment of judgment. And I told to my wife, and I was praying. We were still living in my parents' house at that time. I was praying, and I said to Hashem, I'm taking upon myself a mitzvah right now. A big mitzvah. I'm gonna do it, and you're gonna bless me. I have faith. Which mitzvah I took upon myself? To finish the whole Zohar. From the beginning till the end, page by page. Now anybody who ever read the Zohar, the language of the Zohar, it's like a different dialect of Aramaic. It's Israeli version of Aramaic. You know, like when you go to Japan, every single region has its own dialect of Japanese, lahavdil, And also like in America, you have the Southern American, language. You have the, in the north, you have Britain's form of America. It's different kinds of words of saying it. Now I'm used to learning Gemara. I'm not necessarily used to learning Zohar. I never learned Zohar. And guess what? Today I can tell you, with full confidence, you give me any Zohar, I'll read it to you, I'll translate it, and I'll translate it to you. Full confidence. Any single book you give me, from the beginning, from Bereshit until Ha'azinu, which is the last book, I'll read it to you and I'll translate it to you. How did that happen? You know how that happened? I gave myself a word. I said to myself, I'm going to start. Hashem, the book is alive. The book is going to give me the power to understand. That's what happened. And it was very hard for me. But I did it. If you don't believe that the Torah is alive, that it can teach you, that it'll teach you itself, then you have to work on your emunah. You don't have emunah in the Torah. You don't believe the Torah is alive. You don't believe the Torah came from Hashem. The Torah was made 2,000 years before the world was created even. 2,000 years before time even existed, the Torah was there. which only means what? The Torah is what? The Torah is Hashem. You know how people say when Mashiach comes, the Torah is there's gonna be new mitzvot, new this, new that. It's wrong. Whoever says that, it's a little bit about Pikorsut. Why? The Torah is Ein Sof. The Torah is Ein Sof. You know how I know that? You believe it too, and I'll prove it to you. How do I know that you believe that? Ask any old timer Bukhari. When he has a problem, what did he used to say? That's true. They used to say L'Shem Yechud. You know what they used to say to the rabbis? Do you know how to open the book? Am I right or wrong? That's what they used to say? Do you know how to open the book? Why would they say that? Why would I believe that a book that's not alive could show me the future just by reading the sentence? I'll give you a story how it works. I'll give you a story. The Bukharian people will come from the Soviet Union, right? The Soviet Union before was under the communist regime, was under the czars, the oppression of the czars. There was one specific czar that was very, very bad to the Jews. Nikolai.
It's the last one?
I'm not sure if he's the last one. I think his father was Alexander. Alexander didn't last too long. And then his son took over. Alexander was good for the Jews. And then Nicholas, he believed in God, but he wanted to forcefully convert all the Jews. He wanted to forcefully convert all the Jews
there was no communism by the Tsar.
No, there was no communism.
Communism was after that.
Yeah. Well, communism was after, yeah. And Nicholas believed that he believed in Hashem, but he didn't believe in Judaism. So what did he want? He wanted to mass convert the Jews. And how do you mass convert the Jews? What could a Jew not live? How could he? A Jew has to live comfortably. Am I right or wrong? A Jew must live comfortably. To impress a Jew takes a lot. Am I right or wrong? Takes a lot. So what did he do? He took all the Jews and he took away all their rights. You can't work here, you can't do this job, you can't be a doctor, you can't be a lawyer, you can't do this, you can't do that. He put them all in ghettos to try to forcefully now, how do I up my status?
Convert.
I convert. Not me, but back in the day they would convert. The biggest fighter against the Tsar was the first Lubavitcher Rebbe, the first Rebbe of Chabad, Admor HaZaken, of Shneur Zal Miladi, the Baal HaTanya. The Baal HaTanya was in jail. Did you guys know that? Now, a lot of times people here tell me, Mashiach is not going to come. Why won't he come, they say? The Jews hate each other. So many different sects of Jews. You have Datiyim, you have Tzionim, you have Charedim, you have Bukharim, you have Moroccans, you have Hasidim, Litaim. In the Litaim itself, you have like 7 different kinds of yeshivos, so they all fighting. They have Slobodka, you have this, you have that. Everybody is just, there's so many, there's no more 12 tribes. We've turned into 12,000 tribes. You understand? Imagine uniting that. It's like a barbarian horde, to put all of us together. We just dress nicely. That's the difference between us and the Native Americans at this point. Just so many different kinds of us, we can never agree. We even have our own different kinds of kippahs. Every different sect has their own kind of kippah, and their own different kinds of hat, and their own different and Hasidim have it worse. Why? Every single Hasidic sect has a different kind of shtreimel even. One of them specifically wears the big ones. One of them wears like the thin ones. One of them wears it's made from it's like a bowl. It's like a bowl. It's like this. All different kinds of shtuyot. And the Chabadnikim only wear silk kapotas, and they don't wear shtreimel. They only wear like a beaten down hat. And this one wears this, and this one wears a tie, and so many different kinds of. How are you gonna bring this together? So the Alter Rebbe. So how is Mashiach gonna come between me and you? Through bloodshed? Through war? Hopefully not. Am I right or wrong? I'm going to tell you something. Our time is peanuts. Listen to what I'm saying. Peanuts to what happened in the 1700s. Do you know what happened in the 1700s? I'm just saying this for the history. I'm not trying to make a kaf chova on the Jewish people. The Jews in Poland and Russia hated each other so much They were ratting each other's rabbis out to the czars that they were spies for the Ottoman Empire. When Hasidut first came out, to be a Hasid of the Baal Shem Tov was tantamount to being a spy for Russia, a communist Russia during the Cold War. If you were a Hasid, you know what they would do to you? You wouldn't be able to find a shidduch. People think in our times it was hard to find shidduch. In their time, if you were a Hasid, to find a shidduch, nobody would want to marry you. Nobody would give you a job. People would call you names. People would call you crazy. They wouldn't let you pray in their shuls. They put cherems on you. So the biggest fight in the sect of the Hasidim was against the Chabadnikim, especially against the first Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe went through hell. He was in jail twice. He suffered greatly. He died running away from the French armies. He went through a very bad life.
Did he live in the time of the Vilna Gaon?
Yes,
So
that's who his prime. That was his biggest opponent. He was the one. I didn't want to say his name, but you already said it, so it's out in the open. The Vilna Gaon. You know what the Vilna Gaon is? There is no yeshiva in the world. You know, you ask any Litaim, Litvish, any guy from any yeshiva, they say, who are you related to? They we come from the Vilna Gaon. Vilna Gaon for them is like Mashiach. It's like their God. You know what the Vilna Gaon is? The person who was able to learn 2 Masechtot in one night of Shavuot at the age of 9. You know what kind of mind he was? He went against Hasidut. He wanted to break them.
It was for good reason, no?
I didn't say it wasn't, but I'm just letting people here know that what we're going through in our days is flowers compared to what they did. It got so bad, Reuven, that one of his, right after he passed away, in Vilna was a place where Hasidim, to be a Hasid over there was, if you were a Hasid, you wouldn't step in Vilna. What happened was there was a very rich guy, Hasid, lived in Vilna. He was able to stay because, money talks. His name was Rav Moshe. He was in the Levaya of the Gra. Because the Hasidim were told by the Admor HaZaken, the first Rebbe of Chabad, don't you dare fight against them. The Gra is the tzaddik, this and that. By mistake, I don't know, he laughed during the Levaya or something. He started to giggle. And one of the main students of the Gra thought that he was laughing. Why was he laughing? Because the greatest opponent of the Balatanya just passed away. Oh, they said, you know what? No more cherems, no more niduyim. They sent a rabbi called Rabbi Avigdor, which the crazy thing is, eventually his 2 sons became Hasidim. They sent this rabbi called Rabbi Avigdor, a rabbi of Pinsk.
Avigdor Miller?
No, Avigdor Miller is 100 to 200 years later. Some rabbi called Avigdor, they sent him to Pinsk. He was a rabbi of Pinsk in the Soviet Union. They sent him to the Tsar, and he told them that the Alter Rebbe, the first Rebbe of Chabad, is a spy for the Sultan. Do you guys remember what they did to that spy they caught? The Israeli was in jail for like 28 years. Is a Jewish spy. What's his name again? Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
We know, but I don't remember the name.
Jonathan Pollard.
Oh, yes.
Jonathan Pollard. You guys remember what he did? He was spying for a friendly nation. And they put him in jail for life. Until he got out, he was pardoned. I don't know what happened to him. He wasn't pardoned. He was let on house arrest.
No, I think he was pardoned by...
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't pardoned. He's still under house arrest. He has an ankle and everything. Ankle bracelet.
For years, and then he can go.
Yeah, then he could go to Israel. They're trying to get rid of that too, but that's the point of our conversation. That's for a friendly nation being a spy. Imagine if America would have caught a real spy. What would they do to him? There would be no parole, I'll tell you that much.
Sure, even home.
Do you know what they did to the Alter Rebbe? They took him with shackles from his hometown of Liadi all the way to St. Petersburg in shackles. In one of those, this is the father of the Chabad movement. The foremost student of the Maggid Mezrich, who was the foremost student of the Baal Shem Tov. In shackles, they took him to jail. Right away, he told his son-in-law, take $180, well back then their money, go to Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Mibarditchev. You guys know who that is, right? I don't have to explain who he is. He's the one who always used to say good things for the Jews. He was his kudur. Rabbi Levi Tzaddik was the kudo of the Balatanya, and give him for me a pidyon nefesh. You know what pidyon nefesh is? When somebody's in a bad state of mind, bad situation, you give a big rabbi a pidyon nefesh, he prays for you, and he tries to take you out of that situation with his prayers. So he said this kudo, Rabbi Levi Tzaddik, a pidyon nefesh, but he forgot to send his mother's name. You need your mother's name for this. He got to Rabbi Levi Tzaddik, the messenger, and he asked him, what's his mother's name? His name is Shneor Zalman. Shneor Zalman ben. He said, I forgot to ask the Rebbe what's his mother's name. I don't know the Rebbe's mother's name. You know what he did? They believed the Sefer Torah was alive. They believed. He opened the Torah. The Torah is going to tell us what's his mother's name. They opened the Torah, and what pasuk came out? And Yaakov saw that there was Shever b'Mitzrayim. So Rabbi Levi says, I got his mother's name. Shever, the word Shever is Shneor ben Rivka. And he made him the pidyon nefesh. And then there was a crazy stories how he got out of jail, this and that. Could you imagine? They believed the Torah was real, so the Torah would speak to them. The Baal Shem Tov, for example, he wouldn't open up the Torah. You know what he would open up? The Zohar. Bless you. He would open up the Zohar. You know how he would go on a trip? You know what kind of emunah this rabbi had, the Baal Shem Tov? Now he would go on a trip. It was his yortzeit. Did they talk about it over there? It was his yortzeit. They didn't talk about it. Every Motzei Shabbat, they would give him a Zohar. He would open it up, and based on the first thing he would read over there, he would tell his driver, pack up the horses, we're going on a journey. And he used to do wondrous miracles. The Sefer is alive, Rabotai. The Torah is alive. You know how they say if you want your child not to have any, when a child is born, there's a sigulat, to put books under his pillow. To put books on his pillow. Why do they say to do that, guys? You think it's just because it's a sigulat? The Torah, it's alive. It's alive, it's breathing, it's chayim. It's chayim. If it wasn't chayim, guys, there would be no problem with dropping a Torah. Chas v'shalom. There would be no, what's the problem? It's a book. It's any regular book. I just take the book, it fell. Do you feel bad that a book fell? No. Do you do anything that the book fell? No. But if the Sefer Torah fell, chas v'shalom, chas v'chalila, you gotta everybody has to fast. Why? The Torah is alive, Rabotai. It's like you just dropped a baby. If you drop a baby, what happened? When people just get married, they have a first kid. The first time the kid falls, the tararam inside the house. Oh, the wife starts to cry. The 10th time he falls, okay, he lives till the wedding. Don't worry about it. He's going to be okay. That's exactly what happens to us. When we become Baal Tshuva, guys, when we're Baal Tshuva, the fire of Torah is burning inside of us. You know why? We just ignited it. So it's exciting. After a while, what happens? It doesn't just die down. You can't even tell that it's there anymore sometimes. Our tefillah is not a tefillah. Our mitzvot is not a mitzvot. I said this in Shavuot. The Alter Rebbe, the Mor Zaken Baal Tanya, he says, any prayer, any mitzvah that you don't say L'Shem Yichud before. Now what's L'Shem Yichud? If you don't have fear and love of Hashem before you do the mitzvah, it's basically a mitzvah without wings. It's there, but it doesn't go up. It doesn't go up. What does that mean it doesn't go up? That's why you have a tzaddik. That's why you have to be connected to a tzaddik. The tzaddik sometimes picks it up for you. But you yourself, you don't have the power to pick it up. Because you're doing the mitzvah, it's a body without a life. It's a body without wings. It's a bird without... It doesn't have the power to move. It doesn't have the power to move. You think saying L'Shem Yehud is just saying L'Shem Yehud? My father was asking me in the Omer time, in the Omer, the Mekubalim don't do any kavanot. That's why in the Omer time, the Shmonai Yeshus over here are like bullets.
3.5 minutes.
3.5 minutes? You're giving us a lot of credit over here. I was thinking more like a minute and a half. I don't feel bad because I was once in R.Shalom in Yerushalayim. I saw their Shmonai Yeshus in Sfrat Omer. I was saying our Shmonai Yeshus here in Sfrat Omer is still good. It was pretty fast. And they pray during the year an hour, Shmonai Yeshus, an hour. You know in Yom Kippur, over there, that people have to sit down during Shmonai Yeshus. It's so long their Yom Kippur that their feet, they do all the sellings before Yom Kippur. Why do they do that? Because their prayers are so long over there in the Yeshivat Mekubalim and R.Shalom. It's impossible to do anything. It's like by the time you finish tefillah, you have to start, and you're always late for Ne'ilah anyways. Could you imagine that? A tefillah, when you say L'Shem Yechud, so my father told me, do we say L'Shem Yechud during the Omer? Because in L'Shem Yechud, you guys don't know this. There's many kavanot over there when you say L'Shem Yechud. So I told him, Rav Mordechai Sharabi wouldn't say L'Shem Yechud. He wouldn't say it. But then I said to him, but me and you, we could say it. They said, why? I said, when Rav Mordechai Sharabi would say L'Shem Yechud, he knew what he was doing. When we say L'Shem Yechud, Kulei Ulai, we could have the Pirush HaMilim. If we just know what we're saying, it's already a big thing. Yeah, that's how we look at each other. Don't think we look at each other as some celebrities. We're not celebrities. Kulei ve'ulai. We have some kavanah. It's very hard. Today I was praying Mincha. In the middle of Mincha, I was saying to myself, Zhalka, I said to myself. My first half of my tefillah, I felt like I was just reading. I tried to have at least one bracha kavanah over there. You know what kind of mitzvot there are in Shmona Esrei? That's the problem, we don't have kavanah. No kavanah. And the biggest problem is that we don't think Torah needs kavanah. Did you know that Torah needs kavanah too? Before you learn Torah, there's a special prayer. It's in every Gemara. It's in every book. Gemara especially. Tefillat Rabbi Nechunya ben Hakaneh. It's a special prayer. You say, Yehi Ratzon Lefanecha, I pray to Hashem that He should help me in my learning, that He should remember what I'm learning. People ask me, we started our shiur like this. We said, people say today, you gotta learn how to learn. Shtuyot. You don't have to learn how to learn. The Gra says, the Pele Yoetz brings down that today our books are our chavrutas, it's our rebbes. The book can teach you. The Sefer, back in the day, they would have no books. Everything was Baal Peh. They needed a rebbe, they needed a teacher. Today you don't get, there's a Gemara today, Rabotai, there's a Gemara today. Even if you go to Yeshiva, it's called a Metifta. It's 80,000 shekel for the whole set. Somebody do the math real quick. 80,000 divided by 3.4.
25,000.
25,000. Could you imagine a set of Gemara for $25,000?
Why? What's special about it?
It's 40 rabbis that worked on it. Every Rishon, every Acharon, every Posek on the Gemara explains every Rashi, it explains every Tosfot. It gives you all the Pesukim that the Gemara, they call it the Cadillac of Gemaras. I like to call it the Escalade of Gemaras. It's big and nice. You know what 80,000 shekel is?
How many volumes?
I'm gonna tell you a crazy. Can I tell you a crazy story?
It's a Maybach.
Huh?
Maybach.
How many volumes? R.Shalom.
How many volumes it is? Every Gemara is broken down into 3 books. So there's 36 Masech, they'll do 36 times 3.
100.
It takes the one whole side of this bookshelf, basically. The whole, from the top to the bottom.
Bentley.
When I want to buy myself a present, I buy myself one of these sets. One of the books. That's my present to myself. And I make a little extra money, so I buy myself one of these Metiftas.
Again?
Huh?
What is it called?
It's Metifta. It's called Metifta. It's an amazing thing. I'll tell you a crazy story. This story will also teach us to be careful on how we speak. Because a lot of the times the Torah that we learn is not successful because we are all brought up in a school that everything we read is through our eyes, right?
Right.
For example, when I first started teaching in a yeshiva, being a rebbe, so one of the kids in my class was an Israeli kid, which reminds me, wasn't in school today. He's an Israeli kid. And while he was praying, learning, I see that he's not reading. He's reading with his eyes. So the rabbi told me, don't be too hard on him. Why? For an Israeli person to not read with his eyes is a very big test. You're American, so to read with your mouth is not such a big test. It's not read with your eyes. Okay? But when we try to understand something, it's hard for us to speak it out, right? It starts to get tiring after a while.
Yeah.
You want to read it with your eyes, right? The thing is like this. Some people, they could read it with their mouth. For example, did you see people who were here during the Tikkun? Did you guys see how we were reading the Tikkun of Leil Shavuot like an automatic gun over here? We didn't get tired even one bit. You know why? You know why? Do you know why your mouth gets tired after you learn a little bit? Your neshama that goes inside your mouth, when it goes inside your mouth to read the Torah, it finds over there the leftover things that you spoke about during the day. All the lies, the deceit, all the lashon hara, and it has to clothe itself in it. And it negates. It doesn't want to go in. So after a while, what happens to your mouth? It doesn't want to move anymore. And sometimes when you look at a Gemara, it starts to get tired already. You start to fall asleep. You know why you're falling asleep after a while when you look at the Gemara? Because of all the stuff you look during the day, now your neshama wants to start looking at Kiddusha. You think I'm saying some Hasidic thing. I'm not. This is the truth. This works. If you want to be successful in learning Torah or be Gabriel, you have to say Vidui first. It's not a joke. You must say Vidui before you start learning. I tried it. Every time I used to try it for more than a couple of times, the Satan always used to make me fall and I used to stop. And all my successful Torah learning was when I used to say Vidui before I learned. And L'Shem Yichud. L'Shem Yichud is so powerful, guys. The Ben Ish Chai says, the Ari says a person wants to have good kids, he needs to procreate with his wife after midnight. He needs to have relations with her after midnight. Ben Ish Chai says you don't need that. I prepare for you a special L'Shem Yichud. You think I'm joking? If you want, I'll send it out the chat. There's a special L'Shem Yichud to say before you're trying to have kids. If you have said that L'Shem Yichud, the whole thing turns from an animalistic thing to a full-blown mitzvah. Could you imagine that? You're taking the most animalistic pleasure and thing that you can do and turning the whole thing into a mitzvah. Why? Kavana. And then you could have good kids. Some people get lucky. But you don't know what's going to happen down the road. I just heard a crazy story. Before that, I got to tell the story I promised you. But the Matifta, this 80,000 shekel set. There was this one couple in Bnei Brak. You know, in the religious world in Israel, how do they get married? It's pretty easy for them. Why? You just have to make sure not to go over the age limit. So they have this window of opportunity, like from the age of 22 to 25. And they get set up through Shatchanim. There's no kind of thing you find your girl by your own. Friends, this, that, no kind of thing. If you're in the yeshiva system, you got to go through a Shatchan. You get set up. First, you go on 3 dates. 3 dates. First date is in a hotel lobby. Yeah, that's it. You go for a cup of tea. And you don't have to drive her.
She can drive you?
You'll meet you
No,
there.
she's going to meet you there.
So she can drive you.
She's going to meet you there. Hi, huh? You go there, you have a cup of tea, and the date cannot last for more than 45 minutes to an hour. Already above that is already too conspicuous, too promiscuous. Second date already, and if you don't like the guy or she does or whatever, you just call the shadchan. I don't like it. Basically, no emotions attached.
Clean transaction.
It's a transaction. Second date, you guys go on a stroll in the park. This is mamash how they do it. Second date, stroll in the park. Maybe you buy her an ice cream or a can of Coke. You're going up from water to Coke.
Maybe.
Third date, you could take her out to a restaurant already, to a meal. This is by the third date, you have to be already sure. We're getting married or not. There's no such thing dating for a long period of time. This thing we got from the Chilonim. Because the Tzemach Tzedek, I think it's the Shla, it's one of the poskim, the Achronim, and Shulchan Aruch says, he cursed. He didn't curse, he was very angry at people, at the couples, that before the chuppah, they would touch. Before the chuppah, now, sometimes today they didn't take pictures, they touch this and then he was very angry at that. He said, they're chot'im, machti'et arabim, they're bad. Person goes out for 9 months. What do you think is going to happen? Today you go out for more than 2 weeks, it's already a problem, right? So one couple, they were going out, he said yes, she said yes. It was a match made in heaven. They get married, Sheva Brachot comes. The girls, one of the girls' teachers in seminary, was a rabbi, gets up and starts to give his speech. They're already married in the Sheva Brachot. Now, he didn't know that she never told the Khatan that she had cancer once. She never told him. Why did she ever say? Why didn't she ever say? Because they asked the rabbi, a big posek, and he said, you don't have to tell the guy. Why? Because it's already out of your system, everything is gone. That means that there's no sakana anymore. So there's no reason to tell. This rabbi didn't know that he didn't know. Could you imagine what happens next? One of the most embarrassing scenes in Sheva Brachot history. He thought he was doing a good thing. He gets up, starts to speak. This girl has such emunah. When she used to have the disease, she was so strong to Hashem. The Khatan heard this.
Fainted.
He was about to faint. The parents of the Khatan go to the parents of the Kala in the middle of the Sheva Brachot. So why did you trick us? The halacha is if you trick, you could annul the whole wedding. They said, Lama rimitani, why did you trick me? Why did you trick me? They were almost about to cancel the whole wedding.
What's already happened with cancer?
They were like a divorce without a ketuvah, basically.
You're allowed to.
No ketuvah. This is a big moon. She had R.Shalom.
father.
If this thing happens again, listen.
Rabbi said it's okay.
Oh. So the truth is, the rabbi said, and they went to the posek, and we didn't have to say. But now the guy wants to know how to say sorry. So he went to Rabbi Zilberstein. Rabbi was a big rabbi in Israel. He said to him, you have to give them a gift that's worth a lot of money to pacify the Khatan. So what can I give him? They said you have to give him the worth of a wedding in Israel, because if he would have known, he would have canceled. He didn't cancel, and now you have to give him the worth of a wedding. So what am I going to give him? A gift that's the worth of the wedding. So he looked at the bookshelf. And you see that? You see that sea of red, that bookshelf over there. This is called Gemara Metifta. Get familiar with it because you're buying the whole set for the Khatan. And he did it. He bought it and he forgave him. But look how careful we have to be even when we want to say something good. If that guy would have learned more Torah, the Torah itself would have stopped him from saying it. The Torah itself.
So hold on, who bought it? The Rebbe?
No, yeah, the guy who messed up.
Speech guy.
The guy who gave the speech and by mistake let out the fact that she had that disease before she got married. And she had emunah!
That's a big penalty.
That's a big penalty. Now, Rabotai, besides for saying vidui and preparing ourselves, I want to end with one last thought, one last story over here. You see, the Torah is supposed to get us to the level that we have to strive to be like the Avot HaKadoshim, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. How does one do that? How does one strive to be the level of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov? You see, the Alter Rebbe in the Balatanya, he says like this. He says a line that shakes me to the core. Mama shakes me to the core. I read it all the time. He says every Jew could be a Benoni. Every Jew could be a Benoni. What does that mean? For him, a Benoni is not the Rambam's Benoni. A Benoni is a guy who never sins. But his Yetzer Hara still wants him to sin. He says any Jew in the world could reach that level. And any Jew could reach a level, if he reaches that level, you have the power to do miracles. Miracles, mamash miracles. See, back in the day, if they didn't have rain, they didn't create a desalination thing. Israel created the world's largest desalination process. Takes seawater and turns it into fresh water, regular drinking water. Back in the day, if they didn't have water in Israel, no problem. The rabbi would go outside. He would take off his shoes. You hear me? He would take off his shoes. Once his shoes would come off, it started to rain a mabul. What? Because a rabbi took off his shoes, the rain would start to come down? Yes. I'm going to read you a story inside the Gemara, Masechet Ta'anit Yerushalmi. It's the first time many people in this room is going to start learning a Yerushalmi. There's Bavli and Yerushalmi. The Gemara said there was a rabbi called Rav Ada Bar Achva in Israel. When he wanted the rain to come down, if the guy wanted the rain, no problem. He just takes off his shoes. And when he would take off one shoe, it would start to drizzle. When he would take off two shoes, it would start to rain like a mabul. And the world in Israel would be so filled with water that the houses would be in danger of being flooded and breaking. And breaking, it says here. So what would he do? He used to tell his students to go inside the people's houses and wait for the people to take out all their belongings, and then the students would come out and the house would flood. So the rabbis ask him, how do you have the ability to do such mitzvot, such nisim? There's two big miracles here. Number one, the guy takes off his shoes and it starts to rain, for the love of God.
Rain Man.
Take off a coat or something. Why a shoe? Second thing, until not himself, but his students wouldn't leave the house wouldn't be flooded. That means the water would go up, but it wouldn't go inside the house. The student would leave the house, boom, the water would go inside. Kind of like a small Kriyat Yam Suf over here, right? Because by the time the student would go out, the water is still high up, but he would have an open path. So it's like Kriyat Yam Suf, am I right or wrong? So it's two big miracles over here. So the rabbis asked him, how do you have the ability to do such mitzvot? How did you have this merit? So he told them like this, I want you guys to internalize this. Because learning Torah and saying vidu, it's all nice and dandy, if we get to that level even. But you have to reach this level. He said to them, Miyamai, in my life, no person beat me to shul. I was the always first one in shul. Miyamai, you know what miyamai is? Is I promise you, since I was a kid, I was always the first one in shul. Number two, I never left the shul first. I was always the last one to leave the shul. I would never walk 4 steps without learning Torah. No such kind of thing. I would never say words of Torah in a dirty place. I never slept in a shul. When I would walk outside with my friends, I would never walk in the middle, like some guy walking with an entourage. I would either walk to the right or to the left. Why? Because I didn't want to get respect off of my friends, even though I am worthy for that respect. I never gave a nickname to my friends. And I was never happy when my friends had a bad situation. This is the big thing over here. This is the big thing. How many times do we feel good when something bad happens to our friend? Inside of us. Not outside. Outside, ooh, we could cry with him. We could say, oh, Bechara gave me scared. But inside, taktibei nada. It's good he suffers. I'm also suffering. It's good we're both suffering together. This is the big one over here. And I never went to bed with somebody being angry with me. And I never walked in the marketplace next to a person who owes me money. Not to make him feel bad that he still owes me money. If somebody owes us money, petir we are, right? Petir, we could give out the loan, but when it's time to pay up, we'll go to the ends of the earth. This is a very hard one to do. This is a very hard one. The Ben Ish Chai was very good at this. And that's why he did a lot of miracles. And this is the big thing the Gemara says. In my life, I never got angry at the people in my house when they did something I didn't want them to do. Miyamai lo hikpadeti betoch beiti lekayem ma shene'emar et halech betom levavi. So I'm going to end with this. This is a beautiful point, and this is how a person could become a vessel to learning Torah Lishma, never forget his Torah. A person, the Al-Sheikh says, he doesn't get it. The Gemara lists all these nice, beautiful stuff he did. He never walked next to a guy who owed him money. He never walked in the middle. Look how he used to think. He never was late to shul. He was never the first one to leave shul.
Testify for that. Also,
Wait a second. Let's say ask the question first before you try to give an answer. So he says, how come the Gemara says all these nice? Then the Gemara says like an extra thing, and in my life I never got angry in somebody in my house, and this is the meaning of the pasuk. I walked in the simplicity of my heart. So the Alshich says, wait a second. All those other things were not simplicity of his heart. Only the fact he never got angry at home. He was never. You know what makpid is? Makpid ba'anglit. He was never. There's a nice word for it. You know what makpid is? Like if you ask your son to get you a cup of water and he gets it and he spills it on the floor. Like, why did you do that? You know, if your wife didn't do the dishes that night and you wake up in the morning and everything is dirty over there. How many times do you leave the dishes dirty? This is why we have roaches in the house. Or the laundry just keeps on piling. That's called hakpada. Not necessarily you got angry, you're makpid.
Micromanagement.
No, it's not. No, there's a very good word for it.
Rebuke?
Huh?
Rebuke?
No, it's not. Rebuke is an action. Hakpada is a characteristic. Shammai Zaken was a makpid. You know what makpid is? It's not a bad thing necessarily. It's a certain personality. Your person, he doesn't let his midot go. You know, everything he's very strict. Yeah, I don't know how to say it. So there's a nice word. If I'll remember, maybe it'll pop into my head. So he says. The Asher says all these things is good, but whatever he did at home was like the cherry on top. That was his real testification that he was a great man. He said, why? He says the Asher answers, everybody could be nice outside. You could be the nicest person outside. You could hug people. You could kiss people. You could be the biggest tzaddik outside. But only one, that's the Alshich saying, the only one person knows who you really are. Not even your parents. Your wife, he says. And the greatest testification of Rav Ada Bar Achva was the fact that even at home he was a good guy. That's why look at this chidush now, look at this chidush. That's why 2 miracles happened to him. Look at this, Rabotai. It just came to me. See how the Torah is alive? What miracles happened to him? First, rain would come outside, and then inside the house, he would leave a student, nothing would happen. Why those 2 miracles? Because he was good outside with people, and also inside the house, he was a good person. See how the Torah is alive? May we all be zocher for this kind of thing. Yeah, להיות אהוב למעלה ונחמד למטה, להקים בית עם ישראל. May learn Torah lishma. Continue to learn Torah. And remember, Rabotai, the Torah is alive. Start forming a relationship with it. Baruch Adonai La'olam. Amen. Amen.